What's going on, guys? It's your boy Vic here, and welcome to Collective Concepts, where we talk about various types of music. We talk about rock, we talk about hip hop, we talk about metal, anything, all the music genres that I love and I listen to, man. So if you have an open mind, then this channel will be for you. If you like metal and hip hop just like I do, or metal and rock just like I do, then you will love this channel. Hell, even if you just like hip hop, you will love this channel, because despite me liking other genres of music, I'm going to make sure to talk about hip hop and death and plenty of other things like that. But I want to start this channel off with a bang, man. So let's get to it. Right, we're going to just jump right into it, folks. We are going to rank, well, I'm going to rank my favorite albums from Nasir Jones, my favorite MC of all time. And I'm not going to necessarily call this from worst to best, because that's really subjective. I'm going to call this from my least favorite to my favorite. You see what I'm saying? Because your favorites pertain to you specifically. So we're going to hop right into this. Got my coffee here. Got my notes pulled up on screen. And I also want to say that we're going to be talking about strictly Nas solo work. So we're not going to be talking about that Distant Relatives collaborative effort he did with Damian Marley back in 2010. I mean, the album was dope, and I think it's very underrated, but we want to focus on strictly Nas solo work. So let's get started. I got my notes here, like I said. So we're going to be discussing from 1994 to 2018. So Nas, for me, I have 12 bodies of work that I'm going to be ranking. And you guys are probably saying, well, how do you have 12? Nas only has 11 albums, and you just said that you're not counting Distant Relatives. So how do you have 12? Oh, we'll get to that in a bit. So let's just do it. At number 12, guys, what album do you guys think it is? It may surprise you, but at number 12, I have Street's Disciple, man. I actually have Street's Disciple. And the thing about Street's Disciple is that this album is actually not terrible, okay? Nothing Nas does to me is terrible. It's not, oh God, this is so bad that it's completely unlistenable. But what I will say is that Nas clearly has work that is subpar compared to his standard that he set. You know what I mean? That's really where the issue with Nas lies, with some of the albums that are lower on this list right here, right? So yes, man, at number 12, my least favorite Nas album, Street's Disciple, man. What can I say? This album is alright, guys, but it lacks and is nowhere near what Nas is capable of. That's pretty self-explanatory. Nas is able to do much better than this. But there are great tracks on this album, and they not only display Nas's ruthlessness, but creativity as well. Nazareth Savage, disgusting, amazing track. Disciple, sick. Seku's Story and Live Now, where he raps also from the perspective of a female, very creative, some of his most creative work. Just a Moment featuring Quan, sick. Remember the Times is dope. War is a hard track too. Getting Married, which he made, you know, for obviously getting married to his then wife Khalees. UBR, the unauthorized biography of Rakim, even though Rakim didn't like that track. I mean, the track is pretty self-explanatory. It's literally exactly as it sounds. It's an unauthorized biography of Rakim, which is probably why Rakim doesn't like it, because I didn't authorize you to make a track about my life. But the track is still dope too. I mean, Thief's Theme, also amazing song. But that's about it, guys. So I named probably, I think, about 9 or 10 tracks just now. All the other tracks aren't really terrible, but they just seem sort of as filler compared to those tracks that I named just now before. And a lot of the other tracks are repetitive and they lack replay value for me. I'm sorry. Like, let's be honest. I'm not really going to return to those other tracks besides those 10 that I just mentioned. I'm not really returning to the other tracks on this album. What really hurts Street's Disciple is the fact that it's a double disc CD. That really hurts it, guys, because this is a double disc CD, and I think the first disc has 12 tracks, and the second disc has 14. So I think there's 26 tracks in total, and I only really like 10 songs out of the 26. So for me, that's less than half the album. You know what I'm saying? So I had to put it last, guys. This is my least favorite Nas album. But like I said, I just named, there are some hard tracks here. Nazareth Savage, like I said, Disciple, dope songs. Don't get it wrong. There are dope songs on Streets Disciple. It's just that compared to the standard that I have Nas at and the cohesiveness of other albums, this one has to fall at the end of my list. If this were maybe one album with those 10 tracks, then I feel like this album would be much better in my opinion. But let's move on to number 11. At number 11, I have Nas's most recent studio album, his 11th studio album, Nasir, which came out just last year in 2018. What is there for me to really say about this album? I mean, Nasir is an album that was entirely produced by Kanye, in case you guys didn't know. Nas actually goes a bit in depth and talks about it on the Stephen Colbert. He actually does a whole interview with him. He recorded the album with Kanye in Wyoming. Like I said, just Nas rapping over Kanye beats. Nas sounds a bit off place in my opinion in some areas, but that's because I feel like some of the production sort of like mismatches with him. But lyrically, Nas is on point on this. Like, I feel like a lot of people actually slept on this, but there's a reason why people slept on it. Because the reason why people slept on this is because I feel like a lot of people didn't really listen to Nasir. I feel like a lot of people just go with what the internet says or what social media says because we live in social media world now. And a lot of people, when this album came out, said that it was disappointing. And I actually would have to agree with this. And I know what you guys are thinking. It's like, well, you just said that it was disappointing, but at the same time you say it's underrated. How is that possible? Well, here's the thing, right? The reason why this is disappointing is because Nas's last album before this was 2012's Life is Good. So that means we had what? A 6-year wait before the release of Nasir. So yes, for a 6-year wait, this album was not worth it. I will be the first to tell you that. This album was not worth a 6-year wait in my opinion. But the album was still solid. I mean, Adam and Eve, excellent. Nas just in the pocket. A great, great classic Nas for me. White Label bangs hard. Kanye's production is stupid on White Label. Sick. Absolutely sick. Everything, emotional track for me, man. I love Everything. Makes my heart melt. Amazing song. Not for Radio is dope too. Simple Things and Bonjour are solid tracks, but nothing special when looking at the previously mentioned songs. Those two fall short. I actually enjoy all the tracks on this album, but again, my problem is the length. It was like, for this to be under 30 minutes and we waited 6 years, this sucks. For the fact that we had to wait that long just to get this. If anything, this seems like more of an EP instead of an album to me, guys. And to me, the next thing about this album is we heard better from Nas before. I mean, I don't know if you guys, well, you should know who DJ Khaled is. If you don't, he's a guy that says we the best all the time, but anybody in hip hop knows who DJ Khaled is. On DJ's album, Holy Key, that was released back in 2016, there was a track on there called Nas Album Done. That song is better than anything, on here. That's why people were so hyped for the next Nas album, because when they heard what Nas was doing on that, they got all excited. But to get this, yeah, it was a letdown. But Nas, to me, was still on point lyrically. Well, Nas is always on point lyrically. We all know this. But it just wasn't worth the wait. And I think that's what people were really disappointed about with Nasir. So at number 11, guys, I have Nas's 11th studio album, Nasir. At number 10, what do we have, folks? At number 10 is the album that many people say is Nas's worst album. With me saying that, you guys probably have guessed what it is. At number 10, we have Nostradamus, man. Nostradamus. Nasty Nas, the Escobar. Nah, I mean, it's Nostradamus. All right. I just had to throw that in there. I mean, Nostradamus, as you guys, well, let me not assume that you know this because some of you may not be Nas heads like me. But if you guys didn't know, Nostradamus was originally going to be part of a double album, which some people say was going to be called I Am the Autobiography, but later it was going to be called I Am Nostradamus. But what happened is the album, like songs were getting leaked off the album. So Nas decided to split I Am Nostradamus and make it 2 separate albums. So one of them was called I Am and one of them was called Nostradamus, which is the one that we're talking about right now. And the thing is, the track list for both albums was drastically different than what it was originally going to be. And many of the tracks that were originally going to be on those 2 albums end up being put on another project, which we'll get into later on in this list. But Nostradamus being lower on the list, many of you guys could have probably seen from a mile away. But here's the thing about Nostradamus. This album to me is actually solid. I know. What? Did you just really say that Nostradamus is solid? Yes, I did. I feel like this album is not nearly as bad as people say it is. I mean, people try to make it seem as if Nostradamus is like the Saint Anger of Nas albums. And if you guys don't know, Saint Anger is a Metallica album, which many Metallica fans consider the worst. But let's get back to Nas. People make it seem like it's the worst thing ever. Nostradamus is not nearly as bad as people say it is, guys. Do not listen to them. Does it lack, again, compared to classic Nas work? Yes, it does not even come close to what Nas is capable of. But there are very good songs. Some of my favorite Nas songs are on Nostradamus. I will be the first to tell you that. There are plenty of redeemable stuff on here, like, you know, Life We Chose, one of his best stories, in my opinion. I don't care what nobody says. Nostradamus, I actually like. And I know what people are going to say. This song is so poppy. You actually mess with Nostradamus. The song is poppy, but I feel like a lot of people don't like Nostradamus because of the poppiness, because of the beat and the hook. But Nostradamus lyrically, to me, is actually on point. And I love his cadence on Nostradamus, too. He's very in the pocket on the song Nostradamus, on the title track. And I'm going to post a link in the description to a project of somebody remixing Nas tracks over a Pete Rock production. For those who don't know, Pete Rock is a legendary producer, you know, so what they did was they took some Nas tracks and they put it over Pete Rock instrumentals, and one of those tracks being Nostradamus, the title track. When you hear Nostradamus over that different instrumental, you're going to realize just how sick Nostradamus is. It's really the instrumental that held it back, in my opinion, for a lot of people. There's other great tracks on here too. Let me see what else I got in my list. Family with Mobb Deep, fire. Come Get Me is sick too. Project Windows, excellent. Shoot 'em Up, great. Shoot 'em Up is great. Like I said, Come Get Me is great. If You Ill, Come Get Me, Cause I Ain't Running. That song is sick, man. Which is basically a song that threw a lot of shots and a lot of subliminals at Jay-Z, as this is when the beef was starting to spark up. You know what I'm saying? Dope. There's only a few songs that I would take off, like I Could Do Without You Owe Me, I Could Do Without Big Girl, I Could Do Without Last Words, I Could Do Without God Loves Us, and I Could Do Without Quiet Niggas. So there are really about 5 songs out of the 15 that I can do without. So that means there are still 10 tracks on here that I actually mess with. And I think that that's actually very, these 10 tracks are good. Even Some of Us Have Angels is actually a good track too. The hook can be annoying, but the verses keep you locked into the story. So it gets a pass from me. You know what I'm saying? This album for me, I would say is maybe a B minus, a B at most. But I put this, like, if I was to give it a grade, a B minus. But the thing is, when judging the album on its own, it's actually solid. I feel like the album seems worse when you compare it to other Nas albums. When you just look at Nostradamus on its own, it's actually much better than people say. A B to a B minus album from Nas would be like a B plus from anybody else. You see what I'm saying, guys? So at number 10, we have Nas's 4th studio album, Nostradamus. So now we're going to get into it, man. Number 9 on this list is Nas's 7th studio album, 2006's Hip Hop Is Dead. To be honest, I find that this album is also underrated. Definitely on the lower spectrum of Nas's work. Again, guys, I mean, we're on number 9. So again, this is the lower spectrum, but it's not nearly as bad as, again, some people say. Some people I know like Hip Hop Is Dead. Some people say that it's whack. You know, this is an album that has very mixed reviews, but Hip Hop Is Dead to me is actually dope. It's actually really good. I mean, obviously this album sparked a lot of controversy with Nas. Well, look at the title. The man is proclaiming that hip hop is dead. You see what I'm saying? So it rustled a lot of feathers. It challenged the music industry at the time. You know what I mean? So I guess that's why a lot of people also left the sour taste in their mouth. Take a sip of my coffee. But now, let's get into the tracks I love. First off, the opener, Money Over Bullshit. Fire. This song is hard. Money Over Bullshit goes in. I don't care what nobody says. Money Over Bullshit goes in. One of my favorite Nas tracks ever. Carry On Tradition is dope too. Again, a lot of these tracks are self-explanatory. It's basically telling up-and-coming rappers to carry on the tradition set by the foundation, like MCs like Big Daddy Kane, KRS-One, of course, Rakim the God MC. He references a lot in this song. He's basically telling people to carry on the tradition, push hip-hop forward instead of making it go backwards. Where Are They Now is dope too, where he mentions a lot of legends and what they're doing right now in the game. Black Republican featuring Jay-Z, dope. The title track, Hip Hop is Dead, is dope. Not Going Back, I like too. Hustlers featuring The Game, which I think was produced by Dr. Dre, if I recall. Fire. Nas and Game, their voices are very similar on this track. So they work well. At many times, like you can't even tell when Game and Nas are trading back words because their voices mesh together so perfectly. I love Hustlers a lot. Still Dreaming featuring Kanye, dope. Hold Down the Block is dope too, man. Hope is sick. It's basically an acapella. I mean, actually there's a version going around where it actually has a beat, an instrumental to it. But the one on the album is actually a cappella, where Nas basically spits his hope for the future. It spits the change that he wants to see in hip hop, where he wants to see hip hop go. You know, he's saying that despite him saying that hip hop is dead on the album, there's still hope. It's up to us to bring it back and to preserve it. So I thought that this concept was actually really cool. I feel like this album is highly underappreciated. You know what I'm saying? But the problem with this album is there's a lot of filler. So despite me telling you all these great tracks, which I still think are great, there's filler on this, guys, which is what holds this album back for me. You know what I mean? For me, I could do without songs like, let me see, what songs can I do without on this list? Blunt Ashes I could do without. Play On Play I could do without. Not Going Back I could do without. You Can't Kill Me, I don't need all those songs, man. Can't Forget About You. I could do without all those tracks. You see what I'm saying? Some of the beats on here are questionable, but I find that Nas redeems himself on the track because he's just lyrically on point. When on all the songs that are great, he's on point lyrically. He's sick. So for me, if you focus primarily on beats and production, then this album may seem a bit mad to you. But if you actually look up lyrics and you actually focus on the lyrics like I do, and you listen to Nas for lyricism and storytelling, then yet again, this to me is actually Nas in top form on a lot of these tracks. But some tunes actually veer off from the hip hop is dead narrative, because this album can be looked at as a concept album. You know, songs like Hip Hop is Dead, Where Are They Now, Hope. All these songs sort of tie into the theme of hip hop and preserving hip hop. But there are a few tracks, like I said, like Hustlers and stuff like that veer off the Hip Hop is Dead concept. So that was number 9, Hip Hop is Dead. Number 8 is Nas's 9th studio album. And this album is basically a full-on concept album. 2008's Untitled, or, which is going to spark a lot of feathers, the original title for this album was Nigger. And I know I just said the N-word, guys, but again, don't let that distract you. I'm not saying the N-word because I want to say it, as I'm black too, and I hate saying the N-word. But I'm saying it to educate you guys on what the album was originally going to be called. It was actually originally intended to be called Nigger. But then later on, he got a lot of backlash for it. So he then scrapped that title and named it Untitled. But on the album cover, as you guys saw, you can actually see the N, you know, which are slave whips. It's whips on his back, slave whips and scars, which form an N, which sort of symbolize what the album was originally going to be titled. But then he later on sort of said, oh, that N stands for Nas. But anybody that's been following you knows what the album was originally going to be called, Nas. But anyways, this album is great to me. And honestly, it's just as sharp as the album that is in the number 7 position, the album that I'm going to place above it. What makes this album a bit lower for me is the production. I like Nas a more mid-pace and, more upbeat production for me. The slower and laid-back stuff still works, but I find that I have to be in a certain mood, especially to enjoy this album. I can bump Untitled from start to finish. I mean, I have no issue listening to this album in its entirety. Sorry guys, but the problem is that there are so many other Nas albums I'd rather listen to. There are plenty of Nas albums that I would listen to above Untitled, but that doesn't take away from Untitled being great. It's still a good album. Still a good album. Still Nas doing his thing, rapping his ass off. Lyrically, Nas's pen is sharp. I know there was controversy going around concerning one of my favorite tracks, Queens Get the Money, because a lot of people are saying that he got help and it may have been ghostwritten. I can't confirm that. I wasn't there when the song was written. So I have no reason to doubt Nas's ability to pen that, as Nas has penned way more sick stuff before. So I have no reason to doubt him on that. Lyrically, this is easily some of Nas's best work. Like I said, Queens Get the Money, Breathe is dope. Hero, even though the song Hero was the lead single and it was poppy, it's still sick to me. And it features Carrie Hilson on the hook. America is great. Even the song Untitled, I love. Fried Chicken featuring Busta Rhymes, sick. One of the highlights on the album for me. Sly Fox is sick, where he calls out Fox News. He really gets a lot of jabs. CBS, a lot of news stations likes to take jobs at. My favorite song is the actual song N-I-G-G-E-R, The Slave and the Master, which was originally going to be the title track, Nigger. They say we N-I-G-G-E-R, we are much more, but still we choose to ignore the obvious. We were scholars long before colleges. Dope. Such a great concept, giving some black history, showing how far we've come as a race, and where we're at now. I absolutely love it, and I appreciate Nas for, highlighting this theme and this concept in this album. Untitled is excellent. The enjoyment I get out of this really depends on my mood. If you want to hear Nas with primarily conscious subject matter, I mean, he has conscious subject matter throughout his whole career. But if you want a whole album that's just pure black consciousness and upliftment, Untitled for me is the album for you. And this album is basically a full-on concept album. Hip Hop is Dead, like I said, had a few tracks that veered away from the concept. But Untitled, it's just pure enlightenment, which is what makes me love this album. And I respect Nasir so much for releasing an album like this, especially during the time of 2008 when being woke wasn't considered a cool thing. Now it's considered cool to be woke. As we see with Jay-Z with 444, a lot of MCs are, Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole, they're woke. So now it's considered to be a cool thing. But Nas has always been that way. So that's one of the things I love about Untitled. So at number 8, that was his 9th album, Untitled. At number 7, we're getting closer to the greatness, man. At number 7, I have Nas's 3rd studio album, which was the first album of the original 2-disc album that was supposed to be released. This is I Am. Remember I told you that Nas had 2 albums, I Am, Nostradamus, which are going to be a double album? We talked about Nostradamus before, so now we're talking about I Am. I Am, like I said, is Nas's 3rd studio album. And this album, again, very good. Very, very, very good. Near classic. It's not quite a classic to me. A very, very good album. But it's not a classic to me. Again, you're going to see why later on. But still, this is an essential Nas album. If you have not heard I Am yet, you are missing out, because this is an essential Nas album. I could do without songs like with You Won't See Me Tonight featuring Aaliyah. That song just gets very repetitive to me. I could do without that. I Want to Talk to You. I respect the message, and I respect the song I Want to Talk to the Mayor and the motherfucking president. I appreciate it, but it's sort of whack to me, honestly. Dr. Not Boot is honestly one of the worst songs Nas ever made. Trash song. The issue with I Am is that the good songs are phenomenal, whereas the bad songs just lack replay value. So those songs I just mentioned before, I will pretty much never play them when I play this album. To tell you the God's honest truth, I will never play those songs. So the whack songs just lack replay value. They're that whack that you're most likely never going to play them again. But the good songs are clear standouts. I mean, New York State of Mind Part 2? New York State of Mind Part 2 is amazing. Phenomenal. Epic song. Epic track. And for me, guys, I know I'm going to spark controversy, but for me, I like New York State of Mind Part 2 more than Part 1. The instrumental, the lyricism, everything. Maybe it could be because I heard Part 1 a lot more, so I'm gotten tired of it now. But for me, I love New York State of Mind Part 2 more than Part 1. This song is great. Had 8 partners growing up. 8 turned to 7. 7 turned to 6 niggas. Got 2 in heaven. Sick. Sick. I love New York State of Mind Part 2. This song is amazing. Impeccable. Hate Me Now is another banger. Again, obviously, you guys know Hate Me Now. It's a lead single off this album. Don't hate me. Hate the money I see. Clothes that I buy. Ice that I wear. Clothes that I try. Close your eyes. Picture me rolling sixes. Money's a swollen to bitches. Hate Me Now is dope, but it's very overplayed. You guys probably heard Hate Me Now a million times by now. You can hate me now. I mean, it's still a dope song to me. It's just that it got overplayed, sadly, but it's still easily a highlight. I would consider this song to be a highlight on this album. Small World? Small World? Small World is one of the greatest stories Nas ever told, man. For me. Amazing, amazing song. Small World and that instrumental. Nas over that beat, over that instrumental in the pocket. Just taking you through a huge story. Oh my God, Small World is amazing, bro. New York State of Mind Part 2 and Small World. Favor for a Favor featuring Scarface. Ill. One of the greatest hooks on the entire record. I wet who you want wet it. You wet who I want wet it. Any nigga can get it. Sick. Favor for a Favor is sick, bro. Nas's Like. Arguably Nas's best song ever. Arguably. Notice I use the word arguably. One of Nas's best songs ever. And for me, what makes it even better is that I think he doesn't even curse at all on the whole track. Freedom of jail, clips inserted, a baby's being born, same time a man is murdered, the beginning and end. As far as rap go, it's only natural. I explain my plateau and also what defines my name. First it was nasty, but times have changed. Ask me now, I'm the artist. My hardcore, my signs for pain. I spent time in the game, kept my mind off fame, saw a theme shoot up and do lines of cocaine. Yo, Nas's Like is one of Nas's greatest songs ever recorded, bro. Amazing. Absolutely amazing, bro. KISSING, I love this song too. KISSING is great too, man. The hook, I'm not gonna lie, it can be repetitive and it can be annoying, but the flow and the cadence and the wordplay, I'm trying to see if I can remember it. The beginning of KISSING. It has one of my favorite rhyme schemes by Nas. He said, what did he say on KISSING? I'm gonna see if I can remember. He said, she was the modern ISIS. Honey thought she was priceless. Perfect definition of what a wife is. I like this. Show me how exciting life is. I used to hang around dudes that use ice picks, the shysters. Put you on their heist list. Sick. Absolutely sick, bro. I love that scheme, bro. That's so sick. Oh my God. It just is a song that talks about how girlfriends can turn into lifelong companions and how Starship and the game can get in the way of having a long-term relationship and having a long-term relationship that much harder when you're a star. You know what I mean? Great track. Money Is My Bitch is another song that I love as well. It personifies money. It gives money personality. It describes money, why we want it, what we spend it on, and what we are willing to do to achieve it or to achieve more of it. You know what I mean? Money Is My Bitch is a really good song for me. Again, what may hinder some of these songs to some people are the hooks, but the verses to me are what save all the tracks in my opinion. Undying Love, amazing. One of Nas's greatest stories for me. Arguably his greatest story, you could even say. If you really want to go that far, you can argue that. I mean, I personally wouldn't say that, but you can argue Undying Love is his greatest story. Amazing. Big Things is a solid track as well. And it has Nas experimenting with that double time flow, you know, that flow that Jay-Z did really early on in his career. So that's dope. Big Things, but I feel like it's not Nas. You know what I mean? That double time flow isn't really Nas. It's not what we really know Nas for. And it seems like Nas is stepping out of his comfort zone with this, and it appears rather forced. You know what I'm saying? Lyrically, he's on point as always, but just something about it doesn't feel right when listening to the track. Another track I love, Life Is What You Make It, which features DMX. Great track. Nas's laid back delivery with DMX's raw in your face delivery. They just complement each other so well. I Am, again, this album, very good. Very good album I Am is, man. And has some of Nas's sickest stuff on here. Lyrically disgusting stuff on here. There are maybe about 4 tracks I would just do without on I Am. But if this album were released with the tracks that it was originally going to come out with before it got bootlegged and Nas had to go ahead and switch up the track list, this potentially could be Nas's best album. And I'm going to discuss that again later on. But number 7, guys, Nas's third album, I Am, released in 1999, along with Nostradamus, which was also released in 1999. So that just shows you the contrast between the two albums. Nostradamus came in at number 10, and I Am is here currently at number 7. So now we're going to go on to number 6. What do you guys think number 6 is? I know it could be anything, right? But let's get it. At number 6, I have Nas's 10th studio album, 2012's Life Is Good, man. Life Is Good is another great album. I love Life Is Good so much. And I feel like Nas fans love this album as much as me, but I feel like more casual fans underappreciate this album. And this album I feel is underrated. Life Is Good is awesome. This album is excellent, bro. Again, not a classic for me, but excellent album. It just like I Am, it just stays out of the classic realm for me. But this album is great. Absolutely great, excellent. Like I said, I Am is a must listen. Life Is Good is a must listen for me. And if you guys don't know, Life Is Good was made around the time when Nas was getting divorced by his wife, Khalees. He was in the middle of a divorce, you know what I mean? He was in the middle of trying to raise his daughter as a single parent. He talks about just a lot of grown stuff. You know, Amy Winehouse passed away, who he was originally planning on recording a song with. A lot of things were just going on for him, man. He became really close with Amy Winehouse. I think that potentially she could have actually had a relationship with him, if you ask me. Of course, we don't know what would have happened, but I think that she could have actually been a really good girl for Nas. But anyways, let's get into the actual album, man. This to me is the best Nas album in the last decade. So from 2019 to 2009, I feel like this is the best Nas album. I think this is even better than the Untitled album, if you ask me. Some songs I could do without, though, are really just Worlds and Addiction and Reach Out. That's it. Or Reach Out featuring Mary J. Blige. I feel like these two songs sort of break up the album and they feel out of place. They're not terrible, but they just feel out of place to me. So these albums could easily be omitted. Standout tracks, Locomotive, A Queen Story, sick. That track order of A Queen Story leading into Accident Murderers, which is the next track featuring Rick Ross. The Queen Story into Accident Murderers, great stuff right here. Daughters, the song where again, like I said, he talks about his daughter and raising his daughter as a single parent. This morning I got a call, nearly split my wig. The Social Network said, Nas, go and get your kid. She's on Twitter. I know she ain't go post no pic of herself underdressed. No inappropriate shit, right? Her mother cried when she answered. So she don't know what got inside this child mound she planted. A box of condoms on the dresser, then she Instagrammed it. At this point, I realized I ain't the strictest parent. I'm too loose. I'm too cool with her. Like, do you hear the depth, the lyricism this guy is dropping? He's dropping jewels on this, man. Sick. I love it, bro. The Don is another great track. Salam Remy instrumental. Nas just rips it. a huge banger, you know, a huge song that used to run the clubs even. Stay is a great song, one of the best on the album for me. Cherry Wine is great. Bye Baby is great too. Bye Baby is sick. And if you got the deluxe edition of this album, which is the edition that I recommend that you get, it also features the song Trust, which is great, and it features the song Nasty. Nasty is nuts. If you remember just now when I was talking about I Am, I mentioned that song Big Things, and I said that when Nas did that double time flow, I said that it felt rather forced. Here on Nasty, this is Nas doing a fast flow, and it actually fits. He's in the pocket. He feels comfortable. He's swagging out on the track. You know what I mean? His cadence is, everything lines up on Nasty. So Big Things isn't the double time thing really doesn't work, but Nasty, the flow really works. Life is Good is just Nas rapping from the perspective of being in his early 40s. You see what I'm saying? He doesn't talk about the same subject matter that he did back then, which is why I appreciate this album so much. As you can see, Nas, the subject matter changes on different albums, and they reflect different points of his life and his career, which is why I really love Life is Good a lot. So number 6 for me, Life is Good. Number 5, oh man, here it goes, folks. The top 5 Nas albums. For me, every single album in the top 5 are classics. Yes. So I'm gonna just say something before I discuss my top 5. Nas actually has 3 albums that everybody that everybody generally considers to be classic bodies of work. But if you ask me personally, I have 5 albums that I consider to be classics. And the 5th album, the album number 5, which is also number 5 in my ranking, is Nas's 6th studio album, 2002's Godson. This album is often considered to be a classic. I lied. It's considered to be a great album, but many people, whether it's a classic or not, it depends. But most people, it gets positive reviews. You see what I'm saying? Most people love Godson. If you ask me, I consider this album to be a classic for different reasons compared to the 3 albums that will be above it. This album has everything you want from Nas. You get all different aspects of Nas on Godson. Depth, storytelling, varying subject matter, relatable tracks based on life experiences. Amazing. Solid production that brings different moods, from strings to some blues and even jazz samples. The only one gripe with this release is that the 2 songs Zone Out and Hey Nas, I could do without these songs, honestly. Zone Out is just whack to me, and Hey Nas is just that hook is just too much for me, man. And there are subpar tracks when looking at the rest of the album, honestly, guys. But besides that, everything else is excellent. Phenomenal Nas at the top of the game. Sick. And it's a very personal album because, you know, Nas was still in the middle of his beef with Jay-Z at this time. His mom recently passed away. You see what I'm saying? So it was a very deep point with Nas. I mean, his album also just got leaked. So he actually released this album earlier than he wanted to because people were bootlegging and leaking the album. All this is going on. You see what I'm saying? While he's recording this album. There's a lot of standout tracks. You know, Get Down, one of Nas's sickest stories. New York Streets with Killers Will Walk Like Pistol Pete and Pappy Mason gave the young boys admiration. Prince from Queens and Fritz from Harlem, Street Legends. The Drugs Kept the Hood from Starving. Pushing Cars, Nicky Bars was the 70s, but there's a long list of high-profile celebrities. Worldwide on the third side of things. Live as Kings. Some died. One God, one time, one day grabs me. As I'm about to blast heat, 40 side of Vernon. I turn well, he asked me. Sick. I could recite this whole song. Dope. The Cross, which was produced by a little MC you may know as Marshall Bruce Mathers III. Eminem. Nas rips this shit. The Cross is sick. Made You Look, which was a lead single. Dope. Overplayed, but Made You Look is clearly a standout track on this. Last Real Nigga Alive, which details in depth Nas's beefs with Biggie. You know, Pac, he touches on a little bit. He talks about the beef with Jay-Z, of course. I love even the way he starts it off. Y'all know about my Biggie wars. Who you thought kicking the door was for? Because as you guys know, Biggie has that song Kicking the Door off Life After Death, his second album. And just the way Nas got into that shit, sick to me, man. I Can is a good song. It's not a song I would skip per se, but it's a song that isn't as good as those others, but it's not a song that's as so bad that I would want to omit it off the album. I mean, I Can is still dope and teaches a lot of lessons. It encourages, enlightenment. Like I said, Nas has been on this enlightenment stuff from the beginning. So I find it funny when people talk about how it's cool to be woke when Nas has been doing this and been woke the whole time. Book of Rhymes, one of the most creative songs and one of the dopest songs on the album, where as Nas literally going through his book of rhymes and spitting back some stuff that he wrote down. It even has some crumbling up pieces of paper, some humor in it, like finding a bitch's number, as he says, in his book of rhymes. That shit is sick. Mastermind is sick. Revolutionary Warfare featuring Lakey the Kid, dope. Revolutionary Warfare is dope, man. One of the best tracks on the album. I think the song was produced by Alchemist, right? Revolutionary Warfare, I think it was. Dope. Dance. My God, man. This song just tugs at your heart, man. The song that Nas wrote for his mom, rest in peace, Ann Jones. This song is great, and I get real emotional when I listen to this song, man. Dance is amazing. And he like I said, he dedicated the song to his mother. And because of that, he didn't curse once throughout this whole song. Amazing. The album closes with the song Heaven. Sick. Absolutely sick. Heaven is dope. If Heaven Was a Mile Away. Thug's Mansion featuring Tupac. That song Thug's Mansion. I could do without it. Another song I could do without. But besides that, I mean, Godson is still an impeccable body of work. And it just has Nas just going in. You could tell the man was frustrated. He was feeling so much. And he just put it all on wax. So at number 5, I have his 6th album, Godson, 2002's Godson. For me, classic. Like I said, everything in this top 5 to me is classic. Number 4. Number 4 is a project that a lot of people I find do not include in Nas discography rankings because they want to stick to just doing strictly studio albums. But I'm sorry. I would be doing you guys a disservice if I did not talk about this album because it literally is in the top 5 of Nas's best projects. Even though this album is just a compilation of B-sides, which were recorded in between the years of I Am, Nostradamus, and Stillmatic, this deserves to be here. And you guys, now that I just told you all this, any Nas head knows exactly what I'm talking about. This project is known as The Lost Tapes. The Lost Tapes, man, this is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. No skippables. You heard me right. On this, for me, no skippables on this. The Lost Tapes is phenomenal. Phenomenal body of work, man. Christ. The Lost Tapes just claps, bro. This album claps. And now, remember when I told you guys that if I Am were released the original way, this would be potentially Nas' best album. If I Am had every single track off the Lost Tapes, plus songs like Nas's like New York State of Mind Part 2, Undying Love. If that should have Money Is My Bitch, KISSING, if that had all of those tracks, I Am potentially could be argued to be Nas's best album then, if that was the track list. Because all the tracks on the Lost Tapes, ridiculous. I mean, come on. Everything is a standout. Bro, Do-Rags. Do-Rags is amazing. My Way, which was produced by Alchemist. Sick. Black Zombies is dope. Purple with that smooth piano. Yo, ask any of my friends I grew up with in college, man. Any of you guys that knew me in college, they will tell you that I used to play Purple all the time because it's just such an amazing song, man. Black Zombies, which is dope. Everybody's Crazy. Is sick too. Drunk by Myself is fire. Fetus, which is Nas rapping about his inception and his birth all the way up until he came out of his mom. Dope, man. There's not much more for me to say about number 4, The Lost Tapes, man, which was released in 2002, the same year as Godson. 2001 and 2002, are for me one of Nas's, like arguably one of Nas's strongest periods, one of his strongest years. That 2001-2002 stretch was on top of the world, man. Dope. So that was the Lost Tapes, guys. There's not much more for me to say. No skippables for me. No skippables. So again, classic. Number 3, guys. We're getting to the top 3, the bronze, silver, and gold positions. Oh man, I gotta take a next sip of my coffee for this, man. Alright. These 3, disclaimer, interchangeable. These are interchangeable albums. What do I mean by this? I mean that you could put number 3 at number 1. You could put number 1 at number 3. You could put number 2 at number 1. You could put number 2 at number 3. You can literally switch these albums in any order in the top 3, and you would still have a respectable list for me. On my 3rd favorite Nas album, oh man, my 3rd favorite Nas album, folks, is Nas's 2nd album, 1996's It Was Written. Listen, this album is ridiculous. I love It Was Written so much. And for many of the reasons why I like Godson, because this album I actually like the production on It Was Written a lot. It has different moods, you know what I'm saying? And I only have 2 gripes with It Was Written. One is Street Dreams. Not the verses per se, but the hook can get annoying on Street Dreams, in my opinion, and it can get repetitive at times. Nas Is Coming is also, for me, trash. Trash-ass song. I'm sorry, I could do without Nas Is Coming, honestly. It's not that great compared to all the other songs on the album. Rather underwhelming, and taking that song off will not hurt the album at all. But everything else is fine for me. And this album has a lot of standouts. The message, woo! The message is sick. The message is sick, bro. I love it. I love the message. One of Nas's strongest album openers even today. I Gave You Power, which was produced by DJ Premier, man. I Gave You Power is dope. One of Nas's best joints produced by DJ Premier, where he rides from the perspective of a gun. Amazing song, man. I seen some cold nights and bloody days. They grabbed me and bullet sprayed. They used me wrong, but I sing the song to this day. My body is cold steel for real. I was made to kill. That's why they keep me concealed. Sick. Sick. Watch Them Niggas, sick song. Taken in Blood? Yo, Taken in Blood is oh my God. I mean, can I even remember Taken in Blood? I mean, yo, this song right here is amazing. I'll see if I can remember a piece of Taken in Blood for you guys. I mean, I never brag. How real I keep it, cause that's the best secret. I rock a vest, prestigious. Cuba Link flooded Jesus. And Alex watching Kathleen and Regis. My actions are one with the seasons. A text squeezing. Executioner. Wintertime of Rockefeller. Mega popular. Center of attraction. Climaxing. My bitches, they be laughing. They half from sniffing coke off a 20 cent Andrew Jackson. Bro, what? Taken in Blood is oh my God. Yo, Nas's pen game on this album is arguably better than Illmatic. I said it. It's arguably better than the debut. I'm talking about strictly his pen game, his lyricism, top notch, bro. My goodness, it's sick. Affirmative Action featuring AZ, Cormega, and Foxy Brown. Dope track, one of the best songs, and I love the instrumental on this, the boom bap instrumental. Shootouts is dope. Shootouts is another standout track. Live Nigga Rap featuring Mobb Deep. Easily one of the best songs on the album, man. Prodigy, one of the best verses, in my opinion. He killed this shit. Live Nigga Rap is dope to me. And this song was originally supposed to be on Mobb Deep's album Hell on Earth, but Nas liked the song so much that he requested for it to be put on this album if he can. He bought it off them. So dope. If I Rule the World is dope as well. If I Rule the World is a sick song, man. Wow. A classic, you know, the classic single with Lauryn Hill. What can I say about If I Rule the World? You guys should know about this song already, especially if you're a hip hop head. Classic song. For those who don't know, It Was Written is still Nas's best selling album to date. And I find that when this album initially came out, it wasn't as appreciated as it is today because, I don't know, people I feel like appreciated this album much later on compared to when it was originally released because people just wanted him to make another Illmatic. And I purposely said that to say this. They wanted Nas to make another Illmatic. So this leads me into my second favorite Nas album. So number 3, guys, again, was It Was Written, Nas's second album released in 1996. But my second favorite Nas album, cool-wee. My second favorite Nas album would be Nas's 5th album, 2001 Stillmatic, which is one of 2 Nas albums to get a 5 mic rating from the Source magazine, even though that doesn't really matter to me. But I say that that rating is justified. Yo, Stillmatic, great. This, again, is another classic. Hey, yo, the brother Stillmatic. I called up out of that grave, wiping my dirt, cleaning my shirt. They thought I'd make another Illmatic, but it's always forward I'm moving. Never back was stupid, here's another classic. When I turned on Stillmatic and I heard that, I was like, bro, this guy is spazzing, bro. This guy is absolutely spazzing on this. This guy's Stillmatic, you could even argue to be better than the original if you really want to go there. And yes, I'm going to say it. I'm not afraid to say it, bro, because a lot of people are afraid to say it. Stillmatic is sick. Nearly as good as the original Illmatic, bro. The only 2 tracks I would take, no, I would only really take 1 track, which is Braveheart Party. That's the only song off Stillmatic I honestly would say you could take away from the album. Besides that, everything else is fine as it is, bro. As you guys know, this album was released the same year as Jay-Z's The Blueprint. Literally the absolute peak, the height of the Jay-Z and Nas feud. The Blueprint and Stillmatic are both classics, and there's still debates even today which album is better. There's no right or wrong answer, but for me, I'll always choose Stillmatic. I love Stillmatic, bro. Like I said, Stillmatic, the intro, arguably one of the greatest intros. Again, for Nas, his intros are just consistently great. Like I said, New York State of Mind Part 2, a great opener, a great intro. Godson, Get Down, a great intro. The Message, a great opener off It Was Written. Stillmatic, the intro, fire, bro, absolute fire. Followed up by Ether, one of the hardest diss tracks ever. The song that was such a hit so hard that it now went from a noun to a verb. It went from a noun, which was a song, to a verb. Now people say when you lose a rap beef, when you get schooled lyrically, you got ethered. That's how badly Nas schooled Jay-Z on Ether. And you guys should know about Ether. I shouldn't have to go into it. Got Yourself a Gun, which is one of the singles off this, which is still a sick song. One of the things I love about Nas, man, is his singles are still dope in their own right. Got Yourself a Gun is a really dope song for me, man. I love Got Yourself a Gun, one of my favorites. Smokin' is dope too. I mean, it's not as good as those other 3 songs, but still Smokin' is good and it's still a good song, you know, to rock and lay back to. You're the Man is sick. One of the best songs on the album. Right in their fat mouth that I carved my name. Nas, too real. Nas, true king. It's however you feel. Go ahead, you swing. Your arms too short to box with God. I don't kill soloists, only kill squads. Yeah, that's sick, bro. You're the Man is dope. And again, I'm not even looking at anything. I'm just looking at my notes, guys. All these lyrics I'm just reciting from my head. So if I mess up on some things, but you know what I mean? Like, I'm just reciting all this from my head, bro, because there are so many quotables on this stuff, bro. Sick. Rewind, which is famous for not spitting the story backwards. What? Disgusting. One Mic, another one of the singles from this album. Amazing. Jesus died at age 33. That's 33 shots on twin Glocks with 16 apiece. That's 32, which means one of my guns must have been holding to 17. 27 hit your crew, 6 went into you. Dope. I love One Mic. Second, Childhood, a song that a lot of people aren't gonna like because a lot of y'all living in y'all second childhood, but this is a really good song, guys. It just talks about people that don't grow in life. They stay at the same spot they were in. They don't advance. They do the same things that they were previously doing before, to the point where they're in their second childhood. So they're growing up physically, they're getting up in age, but mentally they're still stuck in their second childhood. Dope. Destroy and Rebuild, which is where Nas calls out a lot of people like Mobb Deep, Prodigy, Cormega. You know what I mean? He comes at a lot of people on Destroy and Rebuild. I mean, goddamn. But it's dope, man. Destroy and Rebuild is a dope song. A lot of people say that they don't like Rule and they don't like My Country. Rule is another single off this album, and I like Rule. You know what I mean? Rule is a dope track that basically talks about just that. People that want how everybody wants to rule the world for their own selfish ambitions. You know what I mean? And My Country, the fact that My Country comes right after Rule, I thought was amazing sequencing, because the themes of the songs basically play off each other. Rule talks about how everybody wants to rule the world, and My Country is basically talking about you being a witness to that. I mean, the hook of My Country goes, my country shitted on me. She wants to get rid of me because the things I've seen. You know what I mean? So basically, My Country is almost like talking about you witnessing and seeing the injustices and the different tyranny that people are willing to go through to rule the world. That's why My Country and Rule, to me, work so well together on the track list. What Goes Around Comes Around, it's all Poison, dope song, amazing. And that final verse just puts a nail in the coffin on that song. Impeccable, absolutely impeccable. That's basically the last track on the album if you get the standard version. But there were a lot of limited edition versions of Stillmatic. Like, I think there was a Circuit City version of the album. There was a Best Buy version of the album. And the Best Buy version of this album came with 2 bonus tracks. I think one was Everybody's Crazy. No, one was Every Ghetto. And the other one was the song No Ideas Original. Now, I want to talk about this song, No Ideas Original, real quick, guys. And you guys may be thinking, well, why are you talking about No Ideas Original here on Stillmatic? I thought No Ideas Original was a song that was on the Lost Tapes. And you would be right. No Ideas Original is a song that is on the Lost Tapes. But here's the thing. The Stillmatic version, the bonus track Stillmatic version of No Ideas Original, has an entirely different instrumental, an entirely different beat than the one on the Lost Tapes. And I prefer the Stillmatic version compared to the one on Lost Tapes. Both versions were produced by the same producer, which I think also was The Alchemist. But the Stillmatic version works that much better for me. One of Nas's hardest tracks. No Ideas Original is amazing. Again, Stillmatic, Nas's 5th album, amazing. And one of the ultimate comeback albums in rap. Everybody thought Nas was done after Jay-Z released a Takeover. Then he just drops literally one of the greatest albums of his career. Another classic, as he even said in the intro. It's always forward, I'm moving, never backwards, stupid. Here's another classic. And he was right, man. Another classic album for me from Nas. So, folks, that only leaves one album left. So number 2 was Stillmatic. And number 1, I know you guys are going to say, wow, man, this was so predictable. But what can I say, man? Number 1 is very personal for me and a really emotional album for me, because this was the first Nas album that I ever heard. And it's such a classic release, man. It basically changed the whole scape of how people rap. Nobody was rapping like this, especially back in 1994. Even, I'm not saying that people weren't lyrical, like say Biggie or even like the Wu-Tang Clan in 93 with 36 Chambers, but nobody was using the vocabulary that Nas was using on this album right here. And the fact that he released this when he was, 19, 20, and he started working on this around 17, 18, ridiculous, bro. Number 1 is what many consider to be the hip-hop Bible and what many consider to be the greatest hip-hop album of all time, which celebrated its 24th anniversary. No, its 25th anniversary, sorry. 25 years ago, this album was released, man. And I love it so much, man. It's just so near and dear to me. Nas's debut album, Illmatic, bro. This album is actually a masterpiece. And for me, this is the greatest hip-hop album ever released on disc. I mean, 10 tracks 9 actual songs because the first track is the opener, the Genesis, which sets the mood for the album. Everything is amazing on Illmatic. I mean, New York State of Mind. I mean, I know I said I prefer part 2, guys, but part 2 wouldn't exist without part 1. You know what I mean? Part 1 is still a classic, produced by DJ Premier. Apparently it was recorded all in one take. The first take, ridiculous. He even says, I don't know how to start this shit. I mean, he just tears apart the mic. Then it just goes into Life's a Bitch, which is one of the best songs on the album and has one of the best verses of all time, which is AZ's opening verse. Despite AZ having an amazing verse on Life's a Bitch, I want to say that Nas's verse is very underrated. I think it's just as good as AZ's, if not better, in my opinion. Nas killed it on Life's a Bitch, in my opinion. The third track is what? No, well, technically the fourth track because of the Genesis. But the third song, The World Is Yours, classic song, man. And a mesmerizing instrumental, beautiful work done by Pete Rock. That's the thing about Illmatic, man. It was like the first album that had an all-star lineup of producers. So it's so hard to sort of top this album when you have no filler at all. It's literally just the top producers in the game at the time with literally a prodigy, one of the greatest MCs of all time. You match the two together, and this MC is at his hungriest that he's ever been at. You literally have a recipe for literally changing the whole landscape of hip hop. You know what I'm saying? After The World Is Yours, again, guys, I'm not looking at anything besides my notes, but the track order, I'm just going off memory. After The World Is Yours was Halftime, which was one of the singles that was released actually before this album came out. Halftime is dope. I love Halftime a lot. Classic Nas song, again, what can I say? I think the original Halftime came out in 92, I think. Dope. After Halftime, Memory Lane, Sitting in the Park. I love Memory Lane, Sitting in the Park. It's sick, and it has one of my favorite lines by Nas. It's real, grew up in trife life, the times of white lines, the hype vice, murderous night times, and night fights invite crimes. Sick. Absolutely sick vocabulary, sick cadence, flow, breath control, everything you could want. Narration, lyricism, storytelling, depth, painting pictures. Memory Lane, Sitting in the Park is absolutely impeccable, again, over DJ Premier production. Great production. One Love, produced by Q-Tip, amazing. I love One Love. And this song, again, polarizing instrumental by Q-Tip from a Tribe Called Quest. And for me, all the verses are dope on One Love, but that third verse arguably is Nas's best verse he's ever recorded for me. I love the third verse of One Love. Sick. Absolutely sick. One Time for Your Mind. Many people consider this to be the one filler track on the album. I can see how people say that. I mean, One Time for Your Mind is still cool to me. It's definitely not as good as the other tracks, but again, nothing that I would omit off the album. One Time for Your Mind is still dope, and it's a song that you could easily rock to and flow to too. So I like One Time for Your Mind. And the closer, It Ain't Hard to Tell, produced by what was the song produced by Large Professor? I think it was produced by Large Professor, right? This shit is sick. It Ain't Hard to Tell, bro. It ain't hard to tell. I excel, then prevail. The mic is contact that I attract clientele. Dope, man. Dope. Literally everything about Illmatic is impeccable, iconic. From the track list to even the track order, the production, even the album cover is one of the most iconic album covers in hip hop. For me, this is my favorite Nas album, guys, Illmatic. And I know everybody says it, but I just want to let you guys know that I'm not putting it at number 1 just because everybody else does. I'm putting it at number 1 because it's literally my favorite Nas album, man. And I love it dearly, man. Just a compilation of literally some of the greatest tracks recorded in hip hop. Even today, 25 years after its release, you still have people influenced by Illmatic. Even the Detroit MC Elzai actually did his own version of Illmatic called Elmatic, where he basically does his own take from a Detroit perspective relating to his own life and experiences of Illmatic. So dope. This album is still influencing people even today. But yes, Amazing album. And like I said, all of the top 5 that I mentioned, guys, Illmatic, Stillmatic, It Was Written, Lost Tapes, Godson, these are all, for me, Nas literally at first place, all in the king status. These 5 albums to me signify why Nas is my favorite MC. And even albums, like I said, like Life is Good and I Am, basically fall just short of being in the top 5 in the classic realm. But these are still essential Nas albums. So to go through everything again, guys, I'm going ahead and list my my least favorite to favorite. So at number 12, I had Streets Disciple, 2004 Streets Disciple. At number 11, I had 2018's Nasir. At number 10, I had 1999's Nostradamus, Nas's 4th studio album. At number 9, I had Nas's 7th studio album, 2006's Hip Hop Is Dead. At number 8, I had Nas's 9th album, 2008's Untitled. At number 7, Nas's 3rd album, I Am. Number 6, Nas's 10th album, 2012's Life Is Good. And then number 5, which again are the 5 bodies of work from Nas that I consider to all be classics. His 6th album, 2002's Godson at number 5. 2002's The Lost Tapes at number 4, which is not an album, but it is a compilation of B-sides, which I think are better than many of his albums. Number 3, Nas's 2nd album, 1996's It Was Written. Number 2, Nas's 5th album, 2001's Stillmatic, which is, again, I consider it to be one of the greatest comeback albums in hip-hop. And number 1, Nas's debut, 1994's Illmatic. So there you go, guys. I just ranked my least favorite to my favorite Nas albums, man. And we can have a discussion in the comments. Let me know what you guys think about this. My favorite MC of all time. I love Nas so much. And even Nas's worst albums, as you guys can see, still have some redeeming qualities to them. They're still not terrible. Like a lot of people say that they are. There's still plenty of songs that are still great. It's just that when you compare those albums to the top 5, they have to be towards the bottom of the list. So that's been it, guys. I am out. Collective Concepts, episode 1, ranking the Nas discography. So there you guys have it, man. Nas, salute to you, my brother. For me, still the greatest MC to put to touch the mic, and for me, the king of New York. All right, until the next one, guys. Peace out and be safe out there.